What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Throw Show, and we are back after the Power Fest. So we haven't filmed since the Power Fest, which is our annual sort of just crazy strength competition here at Garage Strength, where we've got throwing, weightlifting, and then like a little show on the side for powerlifting. And I think what's cool with the Power Fest is the growth that we've seen, especially with the throws. And Trevor has to deal with most of that, is organizing over 100 plus throwers.
Yeah, I mean, I think even during COVID last year, we had like probably 40 or 50 throwers out. And then, this year it just exploded into, over 100. And we also had our camp right before Power Fest, which we had 21 or 22
on-site campers.
On-site campers. And that was huge too.
So we're going to go over the Power Fest results, because ideally what we want to see over the years and what it's become is basically every year, we have this big competition, and we've had multiple Olympians, Taryn Sudi, Sarah Mitten, Sam's thrown in it, Alex, Ponzio. So we've had a lot of Olympians, and this year we were fortunate enough where we had...
Depends how far you go back.
Yeah, well, we've had
Darrell,
Ryan Whiting. Yeah, like if you go way back, we've had a ton of really, really successful throwers. And even this year, on the men's side, Andrew Liskowitz came out, and with Tamand and Lucas here, we had 3 guys that had thrown at the Olympic trials. And then Maria was here with Mo. And Maria actually ends up, this throw specifically, qualifying for the Junior Pan Am Games. She went over 17 meters. And the Junior Pan Am Games is essentially the Western Hemisphere and anyone who's 20 years of age or younger. So this is Maria. And
I think this is actually for U23.
Oh, for under 23. Yeah. Okay. She really turns on that finish really well.
Her finish has gotten way better, too, I think. That's a big throw, though.
Yeah, so she's thrown 17.04 this summer, and, what I said to Maria, what was crazy is, she didn't have a coach on her all the time. I was gone for, 8 weeks. Your timing was different. It's you were probably there a little bit, but...
In the beginning of the summer, I was there, but then when her classes started up.
So I think that's what, the women's side especially, we get really, really stacked competition, and throwing 17 meters after her freshman year, she's going into her sophomore year, that's, 30 centimeters off her PR.
Yeah. I will say with Maria, I think she's a good example of someone who is able to be, she's really independent, and I think that plays into why, she could train by herself and still come out and throw, 17 meters, because she can throw by herself and still be very, very technical and stay on track and stay focused.
Right. And then that leads us into Andrew Liskowitz going 20.54, and Lisko won, I think it was $250, and I'm pretty sure I paid you, Lisko, but if I didn't, DM me. So what we were doing was we were trying to do
He was maxed out that sector.
Yeah, we were trying to mimic sprint cycling, where each round, there were certain rounds, we picked 2 rounds basically, and it was all right, this round we're going to see $100 on this round, and then later on we did, $100 on this round. Actually, I think Taman might have won the one round because he fouled. But we were trying to create a little bit more excitement around those periods.
Yeah,
really good throw.
That was a cool idea. I think, just making everything more exciting.
And just trying to bring more financial reward compensation to throwing.
So going into the Diamond Leagues, we've had a few. I don't even know which one there were. This one's at Eugene,
but, I think they're on 5 or 6 now. But I think the biggest thing that we're seeing, I wanted everybody to sort of comment below. Comment below on your thoughts on the Diamond League setup and how they worked that final. We covered that a little bit in the previous throw show, but comment on what you think about. They take the top 3 guys, and so Romani went 21.44 here, and what they ended up doing with this comp was after he threw this, they took Romani, Joe and Ryan Crouser, and then they gave them one more round, and whoever won that round was the winner of the overall competition. What do you think about Romani here? Like, do you notice or see anything different or that you like or dislike?
I mean, I think his right comes down real fast in the middle. He doesn't, spend any unnecessary time, in the middle of the circle. He gets down, got a big hold with left arm and then just smashes the finish.
I don't know if it's accurate, but I feel like he's leading more with his knee than he had in the past with his right leg sweeping.
Yeah.
Still, he stays on that finish so long.
Yeah.
He's so big. So that takes us into Filip Mihailovic. Is that correct? Hopefully. The 21.37. He's another beast. He's throwing, 21.90, I think.
So here you can see big difference between Darlan and Filip with that right leg.
Yeah, right
those are
side.
Complete opposites.
Yeah, you can see.
He has the foot open, real wide.
Longer right leg, that's dorsiflex in the foot. It does over-rotate a little bit there, but it's still pretty similar. Stays on that finish pretty well.
Yeah.
And this was in Switzerland, so that meet was pretty big because there's, especially with the women's 100, and that was phenomenal. I think Fraser Price ran 10.6 flat, and Elaine Thompson ran 10.6 4 or 5. So it was just another bunch of just crazy times of the 100, and they just continued. What I was blown away by is a lot of these athletes traveled from Eugene all the way to Switzerland and had to compete. So Eugene, I think, was on a Saturday evening, and then they had to compete in Switzerland on Thursday. It's like that, that travel, and that's brutal. 4 days
even
later,
just going back and forth to Tokyo just the month before.
It's crazy. So here's Joe going 21.94. So consistent up in the 21 to low 22s. So I guess that was my other question, is they only give these guys 4 throws, right? But you get 4 throws to get a mark. So he had fouled his first 3.
Then
I
didn't realize that.
Then he hit 21.94. Yeah, he fouled his, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm right with that.
So then he still got in.
Yeah, so then he gets in, and then I think he gets 1 or 2 more throws after that. So that's where it's like an interesting concept. And, what we did at the Power Fest was sort of copying this, trying to make it a little bit better, where it's like specific rounds to win that money. And I think they're trying to make it more entertaining for TV. And they did do a good job with, I will say this, they did a really good job on the Peacock app showing the shot and showing some of the other events. And I think that's where, with throwing, it's like we've got to think about presentation to fans that have never engaged with throwing and what's the best way to make it engaging for them. And I don't know if that's the best way, but it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this is, again, this is Tom Walsh in Switzerland going 22.10. Now, are those
Space
black?
for rent
Are those blacked out Nikes? I think they are. That's a good toss.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so he has.
Kills that finish.
Yeah.
What do you see on Tom's throw?
I see a sweet tribute to Adam Nelson on his chest. Wide right, holds that left like standard as he does in the middle. Left holds pretty well at the finish. I think he does fall his left hip in a little bit more than he has in the past. His right's not as wide.
Out of the back.
Yeah, out of the back.
I do feel, though, like since the beginning of the season, he was falling back a lot at the front of the circle in the beginning of the season. I think he's really corrected that, and I think it's just made for more consistent throws.
And the thing is, too, is he went 21.79 here, 22.10. And let's talk about this. Okay, so Walsh has a space for rent shirt. What do you see from a value perspective sponsoring Tom Walsh? If you're a business owner, which you are, Trevor.
I mean, I think he's one of the most entertaining throwers out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's.
I think too, if you sponsored him, I think it'd be even more entertaining to earn it. Like
yeah, and I think that's equally as valuable as being, you know, talented, and he is talented. He's the most, you know, top 3 talented most shot putters in the, you know, in the world, and he's an entertaining performer, and I think that's where you get like the best of both deals, you know. And
next year there's a Commonwealth too.
Yeah,
there's Commonwealth and World Champs. But what I'm saying is, do you just put something on his chest? Do you put something on his chest and then, you know, look for shout outs or what? I'm thinking for us and me.
Are we going to be sponsoring Tom Walsh?
That'd be awesome. I mean, there's another comment below. Put your ideas below so we can support more throwers. We need to support as many throwers as possible.
What is the best way to support throwers?
Like Tom Walsh.
Yeah, I think that's. You give us an answer to that. But anyways.
So if we get into Crouser, this is Switzerland. Okay, so 2281. I was hoping we would go into Eugene first, but one of the things that I noticed is I think this is the same mark that he threw to win Eugene. So meet record, gets cash for the meet record, which, dude, 2281, like, I remember if you watch like old videos of Alessandro Andre, like went 2290, I think it was, or 91, something like that, with the glide. When he was throwing that, it was like 2270, 2280, 2285, and everybody was going crazy. Crouser's such a freaking anomaly that now, and I actually think he's better out of the back on this throw, coming wide, that he makes 2280 like regular, literally regular.
Yeah. I know, it's just the sense that, like, how does it happen that in 6 months we go from just absolutely blowing up over a 2281 throw, and now it's just like,
Oh, he does
6 months later,
he does again,
2281.
all the time.
All right.
And what's crazy to me is to think that I think, you know, what is Sam's 27, I think he's 28. He might have like 2 to 4 more years of increasing this.
Yeah.
Where we get catered with 23-meter throws all the time. I mean, we're already close to that. He's had 3 meets in 23. Yeah. So at Prefontaine, he went 23-15 in like 4 meets.
4 meets over 23 now.
So he went 23-15. I think this was the second throw. And then to win it, I don't know if we have the winning throw on here.
We don't.
But when they brought them back, they brought the 3 guys back, and it looked like, so I was in Mexico watching this, just dying laughing, because it looked like, you know, Romani went hard, screaming. Kovacs fouled the big throw, but like they could tell, like, they were pressing. You know, you could tell they were pressing.
Yeah.
Ryan just goes in the circle, nice little wind, goes nice and easy, pops it out. It was like 2281, 2280, whatever it was. He knew he just had to take a little bit lower tempo throw to win.
Right.
Because he's just that automatic. And I think that comes back to, in my mind, he's very precise with his feeling, and his feeling has been established by his technical movement.
Yeah. It's interesting just there how it can bring out, like, both, you know, Ryan's just absolute excellence in the sport, because he can just make something like that happen on command. But also just, I think that's also one of the biggest critiques of the Diamond League, is that, you know, really the last throw should be to be chasing that big mark.
Right.
You know, but the way it's set up isn't convincing Ryan to go after it like that.
Right, that's true. That's very that's a really great analysis, Trevor.
Thanks.
So the Valerie Ullman went in, and I think this was 64-51, but I think in Paris, I could be completely wrong with this, I think she got beat by Sandra Perkovic in the throw-off. 64-51, and I think she even had it, because I think Perkovic went 66. But But, to me, this is normal. Like, she threw 68, a meter and a half further than everybody at the Olympics. And then probably wanted to have a little bit of downtime to recover and sort of bask in the fact that she's the best in the world and she's the Olympic champ and she's the best female discus thrower ever from the U.S. And she's still able to go out and throw 64-50.
Yeah.
Probably, who knows if I'm assuming she's still training a little bit, but not as intensely as she had been.
Right. I know. I feel like it is an interesting dynamic just seeing, all these athletes coming over. They've gone past their big peak of the year, and now it's just kind of like, trying to get some money and trying to pay their bills basically. But how that changes how, what their training looks like and how they compete too.
I think the best way to think about it is it would be like playing in the Super Bowl and then having like 4 more games after the Super Bowl. Right. Like guys would be so burned out. I mean, Sam today, he's done Thursday until he takes his break. And today he was like, I cannot get over how drained, like just 100% drained I am. Yeah. So Yami Perez won 65-31. So I think she did beat Allman in the throw off. Man, she is so over-rotated there and just cranks it. That's where I do think, I know I've said this in the past, and I just feel like women's discus can be slightly different technique than men.
I just think that so much of it has to do with the finish.
Yeah.
And it's just like you get to a position where you can just smack the finish, and that, that just trumps, I think like 50% of everything else.
Yeah. And shout out to Arate Throws Nation for getting us these videos. Well, posting these videos, and then we swipe them off of his Instagram.
Yes.
And so here's Perkovich just going absolutely rage fest on 65, 68. So that's what's cool too. It's like she's just still able to get in. Technique-wise, I actually think this looked better than she did at the Olympics. And just hammer big throws, even still, even after the Olympics. And maybe because she's such a veteran, she's able to prepare and she knows how to handle this long season.
Right. And even like I was going to say, she's a veteran with her technique as well. So it's like she doesn't have to work as hard to just get to that level where she's moving well and just hitting good positions.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just more second nature to her.
That's very true. And that brings it. Okay,
so the women's shot.
Yeah, women's shot. The Diamond League in Hungary. Maggie Ewan goes 19-22. Dongmo through here as well, and it's Dongmo I think got 4th at the Olympics, and Maggie goes back out and tosses some more right over 19-20, which is a huge toss. And looks good, looks fluid, looks consistent, sweeps well in the middle. I think she actually looks really good technique-wise here. And this is the thing, too. You might even see, she didn't make it to the Olympics, but she might have taken some time off after the trials and regrouped. And then now she's, not that she's in great form, but back in, maybe she worked on a couple technical things and she looks really, really good, solid on that finish.
Yeah. Very under control.
Yeah.
Especially out of the back.
And Dongmo, I love her reverse. I like how she sits into the finish and that right side comes forward, just bombing. It's almost like her right foot scrapes the circle out of the back a little bit.
It stays so low to the ground with everything.
It's so quick getting forward. So what do you think that these athletes are thinking, like for Dongmo, she just got 4th at the Olympics. What is she thinking going into this comp? Is it just trying to win the money? Is it, I'm just going to have fun, make it like a training session?
I mean, I think especially when there's money on the line, I think you just have to bring the competitiveness. It's like, it's a little different than the Power Fest here where it's like, that's having fun. Come to the Power Fest, you're having fun. But I think when there's money on the line, it's still, that it's like, still definitely that seriousness and almost okay, this is another shot essentially at making a statement.
Okay, so here's a big question. What would it cost to get Ariel Dongmo to the Power Fest next year?
I don't know.
Like what you pay travel and housing. What do you think an athlete of her level is looking for?
I mean, probably probably travel and housing is $1,000.
Yeah.
And then
like a guarantee, like I would assume there's got to be like a guarantee. Like we'll guarantee you $1,500 or $2,000, but any footage we get to use.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
That'd be interesting. Maybe we should do that.
Maybe, yeah.
And so now we're going into the Para Games. So Paralympics have started, and actually Josh Sinemo throws tomorrow, Wednesday. But Lisa Adams, who's Valerie Adams' sister, broke the world record like 30 times in her class, F37. Now she's got cerebral palsy, and it's crazy to me when siblings compete in something similar. They still almost always look very, very similar. Like I could show you video of my brother squatting, and you'd be like, "That's Dane's brother," and not even know that he's my brother.
Huh.
And it's like I see that with her. Like maybe her chest isn't as her hip isn't as flexed in the back, but I just feel like that finish when she squares up and she's here with that left shoulder. It's like, dude, to me she looks like Valerie Towson. It's crazy. It's like I like seeing that,
Or does Valerie look like her?
Well, she's older though, I think. And I think there's like 15 kids in the family.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it's a very large family. I mean, Steve Adams is her brother who's in the NBA.
Right.
So she comes in, goes 15-12. Hagan Landry just got the silver medal. He threw 14 plus, and he was down by a centimeter going into the last round. Now the dude who was ahead of him, I think, popped off pretty big. But that's like what I think we're gonna see. I think we're at this interesting part in para, is that it's drastically more popular than it was in the 90s. Like when I was growing up, and even when Trevor was growing up, not that I'm that much older than you, but I am, but it was popular, but nobody really cared. Whereas now people are really starting to get into it because of people like Aled Davies, David Blair, Lisa Adams, right? So now we're starting to see this, and what I think is going to happen is because it's also publicly supported by most countries that a para athlete will train at the Olympic Training Center for that respective nation. I think that we're in a point with the para games where, because they're also getting better they're starting to merge some of the sections, so some of the groups are starting to throw together, which is going to make it a little bit easier to understand, what's going on with different like F37. What is this? And being able to understand what's happening. And I think what we're going to see is this group right now, like this year, and then maybe 4 years from now, it's like we're really, really, really going to start to see big performance out of para. And I think in 4 years, and then 8 years from now, or I guess it would be 7 years from now, it's going to be even way more popular because it's getting that much more competitive. And I think they're doing a better job presenting it also from a competitive perspective. And it's to me, that's the way it's got to go for sports to grow. And it always comes back to with society. It's like sports gives people more opportunities to be happy and enjoy themselves. And I think that's what makes para games so freaking awesome, is watching stuff like this. It's like, I don't know, it's cool. I think it's sweet. So we've got to do more. I think that's something that we've got to do a better job with too on the throw show.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we still got, how much longer do the para games go on now?
I think it's another week.
So, I mean, we got, more stuff to cover. So
yeah. Over the next 5 to 6 days. David Blair has some titles to work with, and he's going to scrap with the other American, Jeremy, what's his last name? Jeremy something. he's a bomber too. He throws huge throws. So I think that's where it's just like getting more light onto these athletes, these world-class athletes, and then doing that with other people as well, with women spinning. That's the other thing. It's like, hey, we want to cover this stuff because it brings more attention to cool things that will make the sport grow and hopefully bring up more throwers long term.
And even more throwers who aren't, the top in the world too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hashtag throw show.
Hashtag throw show.
Get on here
to get on the next throwing sports center, throw center, the throw show throw center.
Ooh, that's good.
Until next time, guys. Peace.